In this video, I'll be reviewing the Canon 50mm f1.8 STM lens. Thanks for joining me. I feel like the ideas that I want to share with you on this lens fall into about three categories: image quality, autofocus performance, and generally usability. And then there's a couple of thoughts I want to share with you on why I bought this lens. So the first being image quality. I think it's a pretty good image. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's a little soft. It's a good lens. It's a great lens for the cost. And I was thinking a minute ago, like, you know, I wouldn't buy this again. But the irony of that is that I have bought it again because I had the original Canon 50mm f1.8 lens, and I've bought this 50mm f1.8 STM lens, and so that's an interesting little dichotomy. My original 50 had died completely, and so I wanted to see if because I hadn't used it in a while, I wanted to see if this 50mm focal length was one that I wanted to get back into and spend a lot more money on. In particular, I'm thinking about upgrading the lens on my Alpha 6300, and so a lot of those lenses that I was looking at were 35mm lenses. And what that means is that on an APS-C sensor, they'd turn into 50s, just over, I think it's like 52.5mm. So I was interested in this lens for a lot of different reasons. But the image quality is not really up to par. That's a little bit troublesome. Autofocus performance is poor. I don't really believe in the autofocus on this lens at all. So I have it on my 6D right now, and on my 6D it does very poorly. It takes 2 or 3 tries to get whatever it is in focus, especially from 0 to infinity or from infinity to closer, and that's problematic in my opinion. I tried it on an 80D earlier on today, and on the 80D it nailed it every single time. So there's something a little hinky going on there. Maybe it's just my camera, so I'm willing for that to be the explanation, but I don't know if that's particularly valid. Usability. I think this is a very usable lens. I think I'm going to use it all the time despite not really liking the image quality, despite the autofocus issues, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, I don't have a lens that is that small for my 6D, for my Canon system, and because of that, I end up walking around with my 85, which is the next smallest lens that I have. And the 85, as good as it is, it's an f1.8. It's also a little bit long for what I want for a regular just walking around with. And so I think the 50mm is going to be a lot better for that standard focal length that I can actually use in normal environments on a regular basis. Usability, I want to carry it around. However, I don't think, because of the image quality and the autofocus, that I'm ever going to really use it for serious things. For super serials, for really serious stuff, I don't think I'm going to, because it is a little soft, the autofocus does whiff. But I do want to carry it around with me, and I think that, like I was speaking to earlier, that form factor is really just key. Some of those other thoughts, I got a Polaroid variable ND filter, and I love this thing. This thing has completely changed the way that I think about photography and using light, and so this filter has allowed me to get a lot of shots that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, and you're probably seeing a couple of those right now. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to buy another lens, or at least a fast prime, without buying a variable ND filter, because this has completely changed my experience. I'm able to shoot and get a lot more contrast, a lot more color than I thought I was previously able to in particular situations, like shooting directly into the sun or on a very brightly lit day, where I'm able to keep my shutter speed at, 30 frames or 1/30 for video like this, or with my aperture at 1.8. So it's been a great addition to the toolkit. However, it does vignette, and so that is a little problematic. I think if it were on an APS-C size censored camera like the 80D, I wouldn't have that issue, but for what I'm using it for on the 6D, it does vignette. That doesn't bother me. I can fix that in Lightroom, but I know some people will have a little bit of a problem with that. The other really nice thing about this is that I can leave this on the lens instead of the lens cap, and so then I don't lose the lens cap. and I'm really good at losing lens gaps, so that was a really nice addition for that reason. So I think that's all the thoughts I have to share with you today about this lens, and so I really appreciate your time and your attention, and I'm really hoping to see you in the next one. I hope you have a lovely day.